What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on TGM Guitars. So today I'm going to be visiting an amp which I've owned for a good 5 years. I bought this amp in 2015 because I desperately wanted a valve amp. It was a good budget way to get into that Marshall Plexi territory, and that is the Bugera 1960 Infinium. So this amp, I was a little bit silly. I wanted a valve amp, so I went straight for a 100-watt Plexi style amp, which I ended up having to then pay extra to buy an attenuator, into a 412, which I used in my bedroom. So yeah, good choices were made. But moving on from that, it did kind of warrant having later on when I joined my old band Off Topic and we started gigging, and it was the main workhorse amp that carried me for the first maybe year and a half of being in the band before I got my Marshall. And overall, it produced some good sounds. There were some areas in which I wish it was a little bit better. I did try pulling tubes at one point. I was contemplating upgrading the tubes, but ultimately I just bought another amp, as is the wise choice. I don't know. It's just, with me, I just buy things because I like them. But it makes for a very good guitar experience when you have all this equipment available. So what we're going to do today is just plug a few guitars into it, revisit it, see if it's an amp that I still like. Now, this amp was featured in my budget gear video as the amp that I was playing all my effects through. So there's already been a slight taste on this channel of what it sounds like, and I realised I'm going to have to turn the light on because the sun is out for like 5 seconds and then goes back in. But let's try not to digress. Let's yeah, jump on over and we'll listen to how the amp sounds, I guess. I hope the audio, before I go on to that, the spoken audio is actually better, because I did pick up this little lapel mic, and yeah, we'll see what this how the whole video sounds, I guess. So yeah, let's jump on over to the amp. Okay, so we're starting off here with a guitar that I actually had when I got this amp. I was going through a Hendrix phase, and yeah, wanted a Plexi. So this is my 2013 Mexican standard Stratocaster. We got Tone Rider City Limit pickups. I realised I probably just hit the microphone with the guitar there. Gonna have to get used to that. But it's going into my pedal board, into the Bugera, into the two notes using a 1960A vintage style cabinet, and touch of reverb coming from the two notes as well, just some plate reverb. We are on the bridge pickup here, kind of edge of breakup, and see what it sounds like. Really sorry for how sloppy that playing was, but you kind of get the idea there. It's quite a nice sound. Does cut through a mix quite nicely, and where I think this really excels is when you're going for the nice warm neck position sound. So the So it's got quite a nice sound. I used this on a cover of Wind Cries Mary that I did on my original channel. It's got quite a nice tone. Obviously, trying to avoid as much as possible playing copyrighted riffs on here. But you can tell that's getting into that territory. I'll maybe just try and tease a few riffs, try and do my best at that. But that's kind of where it excels, along with this bridge and middle. Now, I am plugged into the first input. I'll put a picture up here of the settings I'm using at the moment, and they're very close to the settings I used to use live with the band. I've got marked on there, but that was sort of my core sound and what I was going for. In terms of how it takes pedals, well, let's kick on the Tube Screamer now. I'll go back to the bridge position. This might need a little bit of tweaking because this is set up at the moment for my DSL, so. So just kind of kicks it up to that sound, and when you're going for that lead. So quite a nice sound when you just kind of boost it that little bit. Tube Screamer wires level all the way up is how I always use them. Overdrive almost at noon, and then the tone varies on guitar. So that's kind of how it sounds with that. Probably they are the sounds and the kind of sounds that we're going for with a Strat. So let's head over to the Les Paul and see what sounds I can get out with that guitar. Okay, so we've got my 2000, turn the volume down, shall we? I've got the 2016 Les Paul here. This is a Studio Tribute 50s, and yes, this is what it sounds like. We've got the exact same settings as I had with the Strat, so it's probably just going to be pushed a little bit more because of the humbuckers. Now, I'm not really trying to go for, this is what happens if you turn this knob. This is what, as with my other ones, it's just me kind of enjoying the sounds that I'm getting and not focusing too much on a sort of full demo. It's kind of, I'd say it's more of a review, and this one is sort of 5 years of owning kind of review. So yeah, see what it sounds like with the Les Paul. Now we should be getting into those pure old rock tones. Now already that's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to just adjust it a little bit. And now we're actually on the settings that I used to use when I was live with a band. So again, it's that kind of, it's the rock sound you have in your head sometimes, and not too oversaturated, over distorted. But what I'm going to do now is do exactly the same with the Tube Screamer. Just sort of this, I was using different pedals at the time. I was using a Marshall BB2, but it was almost set up to do the same kind of thing I've got the Tube Screamer doing, but I think the Tube Screamer does it better and works better for me. So Don't know why I went to an E chord there, that was wrong. But anyway, yeah, a nice solid rock machine. Now what we're going to do now is entertain a little bit of the Big Muff. This is a sound I actually, right, so now we've got the Big Muff on. This is a kind of sound that I actually used for one of our songs when I was with my old band. So let's see how this sounds. So you can get it into a pretty raucous mess, and yeah, I mean I think I need to adjust the pickups in this. It seems that the bridge is a little bit quieter than it needs to be, but I hope that gives sort of a good idea. Now what I'm going to do now is jump over into the other input. So we've got the cascaded gain input on this, also known as the Randy Rose mod. So it'd be a bit of an injustice for me to not check that out, seeing as I've got a nice picture of Randy on the wall up there. So let's jump on over to that. Okay, so you can already hear there's a bit more buzz coming from the amp this time. So what I've done is adjusted the presence, bass down a little bit because this can get a bit woofy. And yeah, I'm not trying to do a debate as to whether or not this is a authentic Randy Rhoads cascaded gain tone. This is just sort of a demonstration of the fact this amp has got quite a lot of gain, and if you pair it up with the right speakers, the right pedals, you can probably get quite a good, usable, heavy rock tone out of it. Okay, so let's see what it sounds like. This is just the amp, sort of balls out, kind of cascaded gain. It does seem a little bit woofy, but let's see what it'll sound like. I mean, if you pair this with the right guitar, pickups, pedals, speakers, you can probably get quite a usable hard rock. Maybe even a metal, kind of classic metal, you know, the sort of Randy Rhoads thing. So let's see what I can get out of this. So what I've done now is chucked the tube screamer on. I'm going to play some very terrible leads, probably nothing in the realm of what people who will actually use this amp for this kind of stuff will sound like. So I'll try and replicate that riff I was doing before. Probably leave the fast kind of stuff alone, but you get the gist with this. It's kind of, it almost gives you a second channel. Now, I've not actually tried it out, but I'm pretty sure you could probably use an ABY switcher in order to get that almost second channel from this amp. So yeah, that to me is quite a heavy kind of sound. So yeah, it's just really fun to play. And okay, so the premise of this video, as with most of the demos in the inverted commas I'm going to be doing, is just to revisit the amp and kind of just have a play about with it. So you'll have heard a few sounds there. I've not gone too comprehensively into it, just mainly the sounds that I would use. And I think you can tell it's a pretty solid amp. It's a good amp to get different sounds in the studio. It's got that raw Plexi sound, but it's not spot on. There's been a few times when it sounded a bit thin when playing live. I don't know whether that's just characteristics of this amp in particular, but it's definitely got usable tones in there. Whether you're using it for classic rock, some nice driven, I say driven, sort of edge of breakup lead, clean sounds rather. It's got the mojo there. So, I mean, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Aside from the terrible playing, I don't know, I've just not been with it today with the playing, but I hope you've enjoyed it. Please comment, rate, subscribe, leave a comment what you think of this amp, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.